Nightwing: The New Order, issue 1. Kel Higgins writing and Trevor McCarthy on art. And this, of course, is set in a dystopian future where Dick Grayson has decided that superpowers and superheroes are a bad idea, and he has basically went full fascist. He killed the Justice League, he killed Superman, and he now runs a sort of organisation that hunts down anyone with superpowers who... There's a little bit of Equilibrium in here, if anyone's ever seen that movie, where all the people with powers take these meds to, like, dampen their powers so they can't use them, and it's illegal for them not to take that. So the idea is that if anyone goes off their meds, they have to hunt them down. But we learn a few other things, of course, throughout the issue, where there's some people, depending on where their powers come from, the meds don't work, and those people are basically being frozen in, like, camps until they can figure out how to stop their powers.
Wow, that has a lot of commonality with the storyline here from the first issue.
Yeah. Wait, what? No. I described the plot of this issue.
Okay, I thought that was still you're going off of Equilibrium.
Equilibrium is in that movie. Gotcha. They take the whole thing is that feelings have been outlawed, so they take meds to stop their feelings from happening.
Okay,
that was the only part that was the only part that was relating to the issue.
Because I've never seen Equilibrium, so
sorry,
I'm like, whoa.
That was my bad. I didn't make that clear enough. No. That was the only part. The rest of it was just this book. So we see Dick. He's got this kind of army, and he still seems pleasant enough, at least at face value. He's going to work. He's interacting with his co-workers. He's being kind of friendly, and the narrator's kind of like, we don't know who the narrator is. Or we do kind of early on, but it's like it's kind of obvious.
It's my dad.
Yeah, it's kind of obvious that it's his child, but we don't get to see who the narrator is until later, and it's probably building to something at the end of the issue, and it's sort of building throughout. And it has this kind of like sad tone. Like, you can tell the narrator's much older than they were at the time of the story's taking place. It sounds like they've already went through a lot of things with Dick. So that kind of happens throughout the issue. So we have that. We have tidbits of what went down. Of course, the big thing is that, you know, Dick goes home for dinner and Alfred's there. So we get a bit of the idea of how the world is based through on like what Alfred's opinions are, other things that are hinted, and all that kind of thing. And obviously there's also hints of, like, there's someone, because we actually find out later on in the issue, but earlier on they're like, oh, someone stole a lot of these meds that stop the superpowers. Could it be him? And then later on we find out that that's Wally West they're talking about. Wally West.
I like that you can you see the lightning on that bit where it says, they show him the image, and it's like, it is him. And we're kind of also going, is it Wally? Like, because you kind of get it's a flash, but you go, is this his Dick? It's got to be Wally, because that's the one that gives it the connection to the story.
It would mean more if it was Wally, yeah. But still, you're not really completely sure. You're like, oh, okay, it looks like it was a speedster, but like, you know,
which one?
Yeah, which one exactly? So that goes on, but it turns out that his kid's the one narrating it, and it's sort of, even the narration kind of pokes fun at it, or you can kind of see where this is going, and he kind of can at the end, because he gets called into the school, like something's happened, and the big cliffhanger at the end is that his son has just developed a superpower, which he seems to have inherited from his mother, who they refer to a couple of times. They say, oh, she's not around, she's not spoke to us in a while, we're in a bad place, does he ask about her anymore, those kind of things. And given the power that seems to be coming from him, the mother would appear to be Starfire. Yeah. So, I guess, Matt, did you enjoy Nightwing: The New Order? Since I've just went through kind of the gist of the book.
Just as well, when this was announced, Matt was pretty against it, just on a concept level of Dick being a fascist.
Well, there's that. I don't like my heroes becoming villains that way. So that's why I haven't read Injustice, because I don't need to read about fascist Superman. Like, that's something I don't need in my life. Here, though, I feel like, again, Higgins managed to pull something off, because it's not a bad read. Now, I don't necessarily like what I'm reading, right? Just because there's things that don't make sense in Dick Grayson's character that I get, like, huh?
I'm agreeing there is, yeah.
Yeah. He's the heart and soul of the DC universe, right? And, like, you could have made this I'd buy this more out of Tim Drake, because Dick has so many friends that are superpowered. Like, look at his new Teen Titans with Beast Boy.
Yeah, I mean,
that's what makes me wonder. Is it like is this what was it so bad that broke him? Is like, no, this has to stop. Like, kind of, I'm intrigued.
Well, that's the thing. When you say you can see it out of Tim, you're like, yeah, because Tim thinks so logically that you can. I mean, I don't necessarily think he would, but you can see where maybe he could go down that path. Like, as a possibility. With Dick, it just doesn't feel right, and even the book writing kind of pokes at that. It's like, he's kind of always keeps talking about how he hates to let people down, and it never hurt more than when it was Alfred that he felt let down.
Exactly.
So it is playing with those expectations. My opinion on this book is that I do think it's a good read. Because I like science fiction dystopian worlds like this. I think it builds its world very well. It sets up all its ideas very well. I don't think the issue, though, at least so far, it could in a later issue. But at least so far, it's not justified to me, as of yet, why this is a Dick Grayson story and why it's not someone else. Like,
it's almost like shock value that it's being Dick.
It kind of because I could see this being original characters, and I feel like it would read just as well. So far,
see, I disagree on that point. Like, I don't know if it has to be Dick, but things like, okay, so we already have expectations of Dick, so it plays with them as like, what was so bad that made him do this. So if this was an original character, we probably wouldn't be asking what was so bad that this happened. But then also, the moment with the Wally West stuff, you're kind of going, that was Dick's best friend. How's this affecting him now that they're kind of rivals in this? And I think there is things already being set up that this does benefit from being Dick Grayson. I still agree that it's kind of weird, and I'm not sure I still want this to be Dick Grayson, but I can see the point of it.
I understand all the story beats. I don't like the story beats, though, because, again, you look into the character's history, and Wally West is his best friend, and he dated an alien that had, superpowers, and there was, Raven and her half demon side, and they all came together for good, like, here it's almost like, well, I had to take out the superheroes for the good of mankind. I was like, well, no, because now you're becoming a human supremacist. Like, we don't have powers. To me, this is, and I'm not accusing Higgins of this in the slightest, but it's the people that go, well, Batman's a better hero because he doesn't have superpowers. And it's like, well, why?
Yeah, I don't think that's the point of this story.
Oh yeah, and it's worth mentioning here as well is that Batman's dead. That's brought up, right? So Batman clearly was not on board, I don't think, with what Dick's plan was here. Yeah.
And also, even just the fact that his son is questioning him, like going, "Is this really the man he should be?" Like, the son's kind of like us. It's like we know this isn't really Dick Grayson, not how it should be. So why?
So yeah, I'm interested in where it goes, because what would make him go like, well, I'm a superhero, but I don't have powers, so I'm still allowed to do this, because that's even brought up when they're chasing Dr. Light. And he's flying through the rooftops just like he was Nightwing again. But he's dressed in his Crusader uniform. He's like a cop.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, well, what's the difference? Like, just because you don't actually have gifts? Like, it always boils down to that X-Men. The difference between Professor X and Magneto. And here, it's just like, it just drives me nuts because I love Nightwing.
Yeah,
so much.
It feels like, because I honestly believe that Dick Grayson, no matter what, would never go down this path. And this is the thing. It's like, okay, so they're building up to what this big reveal is going to be. Where this is what caused them to make this choice. But I don't know if they can actually pull it off.
Don't think there's any? No, I agree. There's nothing that it could be.
Like, because even if he has this opinion where everyone has to stop using superpowers, I don't think he would go about it by killing the heroes. Like, he would maybe try and talk to them about it. He'd maybe try and convince them that they should make changes and whatever.
And you look on that first page, and Captain Cold's there, and Lex Luthor's there, and it's like, well, those aren't superpowered people. So, like, was he just, like, tired of seeing them fight? And it was just like, it's the Marvel Civil War type.
Right, I feel like there's some more context we really need to those first two pages.
Because when the kid talks about it, when the kid's getting put to bed later on in the book, he refers to it as blowing something up. Like, that's why you blew it up. Like, it sounds like it was the main thing that happened was he set off a bomb of some kind that took out a lot of them, or took out something.
But and I also don't think he would do that to Superman. Like, he gets his name from him.
Right. That's it. I think there is a core problem there that it's maybe why would Dick do this? And I kind of just
that's the point of the story.
Right, right, it is, but I kind of overlook that. I go, right, I'm just going to pretend that whatever the reason they give me is good enough. Just even though I know it probably isn't, and I'm probably going to go, yeah, but Dick still wouldn't do that. I'm going to just go along and go, okay, I'm just going to go with it and see how the rest of it is. And once you kind of just accept that, it's a really good read, I think.
No, it's solidly written. It's just this weird thing where, okay, yeah, sure, some things are playing in a certain way because it's these characters that I know, but I can also see this being a completely just original set of characters in an original world, and it would play almost just as well. A few different things, maybe, like a few different, in a different way in a couple of cases, but it would still work. I can see this as the start of a science fiction movie. It would just totally work. You set up this flashback at the start where he killed all these other people because they had powers, and he used to help them, but now he doesn't. Like you could set up the core things that make the story work quite just as easily.
The core story, definitely. I think there's like some of the more intricate character pieces, like his relationship with Alfred and things like that. Like this is all played on our previous knowledge and expectations.
It is, but I can easily see this scene playing without that, and it would still work as a scene. It would just have a slightly different tangent to it, but it would still work just as well as setting up these characters, because you'd get that he disapproves, and that Dick cares that he disapproves. You like, instead of going, oh, it's Wally, you'd go, oh, who's this? Who's affecting him so much? Like it would just build the intrigue.
Different questions though, isn't it?
But it was.
Well, see. Well, I was just say Higgins has done this with his Cowl series.
Yeah.
Because this was the kind of the crux of why did the heroes stop being heroes? Something had happened, and that was more the mystery versus one of them turning and doing this for the greater good.
Yeah.
And so I know he has it in him from what issues I read there, and it's good to have him back. And I know from different things I've read and heard from Higgins, he has a deep love of Dick Grayson, the character. So I that's why I'm keeping this open to go at least another couple issues. But I felt so dirty reading it because I don't like this type of storytelling.
That's the problem. It's like I really enjoyed the actual story, the writing, and I really enjoyed it, but I kind of didn't necessarily want to enjoy it because it's just not quite right.
I mean, because part of me thinks that there's going to be some ending that kind of justifies it, not in the sense that it'll justify that Dick would ever do this, but an ending that, I don't know, either retcons the whole thing, like somehow they fix it at the end. Like whatever the problem was. Like,
see, so you seem to think that Starfire's son because of their history, right?
Well, and the energy-looking beams that are coming from them look very Starfire-y to me.
But see, to me, that looked more like what Raven does when she gets all, and if he was, right, like, Raven's mostly human, where Starfire's straight up from what's her planet? Tamarin, yeah. So I thought that's why she's not around anymore. She went to whatever dimension, and she kind of just left Dick with this kid.
Well, yeah, but the kind of same works for Starfire, doesn't it? She just went back to the other planet.
Yeah. So, but if we're going to do the timey-wimey, and maybe this goes back around and gets prevented, I can see magic happening more than...
Magic, but we also have Wally, a speedster, so there's definitely avenues for this to go down.
But see, and this is the difference with good storytelling versus shocking storytelling, where at least we're being able to have a discussion about all this and why it doesn't feel right, versus just going, yeah, well, that's just kind of out of character and that's not good.
Yeah, I definitely don't feel like this is done just for the shock value's sake. I think there is a legitimate story going on here.
Oh, no, because I feel like when you set it as a separate mini, when it's not something that's in continuity, and you say, this is the premise of the book, is we want to explore this idea. It doesn't feel like it's just shock value, because at least, okay, you're going to explore, even if I don't think it's something that I want to see explored necessarily. Yeah. But the thing is, as we've talked about, it's well written. You take out the characters that are actually in it, and it's actually a pretty good little dystopian sci-fi story about.
And also, just you said there something I don't necessarily want to see. That's the thing. Like, just because we don't necessarily want to see this, lots of people might want to.
Right.
But hold on, wait a minute. That's also a bit of an assumption, because how many Dick Grayson fans want to see Dick Grayson in this role?
Well, we don't know, do we? Maybe some people like what if. A lot of people do like just seeing what if situations. It's like
Twitter people, let us know if you are a Dick Grayson fan, like what your instant thoughts were when you heard this.
You can kind of look at something like Red Sun, like it's a very different Superman. And it's,
Yeah, but
I
at
think
the
a lot of
end though,
Superman...
he wasn't in Red Sun. That's
No,
that was
that's the point. By the end of the story, yeah, but at the start of that story, and you know, if you're just told the premise, you go, "Do I necessarily want this?" And I think,
but
maybe
that's a
the same
completely
thing.
different Superman. That's not Superman going like, "Yo, see you later, America. I'm gonna go and hang out in Soviet Russia."
The key difference here is that
Yeah.
this is supposed to be the Nightwing of more or less what we think of as classic DC
Right.
continuity, who then decides to do this, and it's like, well, that's a bit weird. Like, I don't mind, like, because yeah, if you just like that with Batman and say, oh, Batman instead of being, you know, instead of his parents being shot, like he grows up with parents, and like how does that affect him? That's maybe an interesting idea. Superman, again, Red Sun is just like,
from the start.
he lands in Russia. What if he landed in, I don't know, Canada? Like, how does that affect where Superman goes in the story?
Yo, keep that to ourselves. We're gonna do that one. It is an Elseworlds tale, but still, we have to grapple with this as a Nightwing that we're all familiar with, versus
Well, because that's where it
a blank
starts.
slate.
I mean, the whole point of that opening is like Superman's lying there, there's like, Dick, how could you? And he's like,
Why?
I'm sorry, Clark. Like, it's coming from the Nightwing we know to
Yep.
become this.
So yeah, so I'm gonna give us a couple few because again, I like having Higgins back in DC, and I hope this is a bridge that he can come back and write other characters because I feel like he had a lot left in him.
Yeah, I'm down to read more of it. I do want to see where it goes because it was enjoyable enough to read. And part of me is kind of curious as to see how angry I may or may not be come the
You want to
reason.
know what is their best explanation? Like, is
Yeah.
it how like even if it's never going to be good enough, it's like how much effort did they?
And
put
here's the
into it?
thing: if they somehow pull it off, if they somehow give me a reason that I go, you know what, that works, I will give them the credit that credit is deserved. And you know what? This is Higgins' original idea and his whole thing. He must have went and pitched this and said, I want to do this mini. Like, if he had some crazy cockamamie thing that his end game is so good that it justifies where this
Right,
starts.
you've got to imagine the editor at some point has gone, okay, so but what was the reason that's good enough for him to do this? You know, whoever's edited this, and you know, whatever department. He's I don't know if he's just gone through the regular Bat department.
Well, I'm sure when he pitched it, he had to pitch the whole story. It wouldn't just be the first issue.
Right. That's what I mean. Like, but when they were talking about it,
Yeah.
like, I don't know if the editor is just the Bat department editor or if it's
It probably
a
is.
separate one. And you know, like, and so that person has to go, right, what's the reason that's good enough? And you've got to convince them.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, so there must be something there, surely.
Oh,
The book
my God.
The
itself,
art though,
yeah,
I thought the
as
art
I say,
was
I really like the art.
pretty good. Yeah.
Especially, you know, like early on, I think it's the title page, you know, where you first see like Gotham as that big double spread. And, you know, it's got like the deep red skies, and it's just like, oh, it looks gorgeous.
Yeah, and then there's the double page spread of like Dick running through the rooftops and all that, and it's
This is something that I saw a lot in Higgins' run on Nightwing, the way he showed Dick's movement. I know obviously he wasn't on art then, but like it's kind of I assume he's told the artist to kind of carry that across, and I do enjoy how he does it. You really get the sense of motion of how Dick moves.
Yeah, I will give them credit. Alfred calling him on his shit and saying that he doesn't agree with it does at least help a little bit. Like someone's actually standing there.
That's why I was saying that with the Sun as well. Even the Sun's like this doesn't seem right that he does this, and I think it's what gives it credence. Like that, like he's got the support of the public in some sense, obviously because it's gone through, but there are people who are on our side as well, going, no, this isn't right.